in the heart of southern Africa. In a time when tribes fought for survival and land, a child was born who would one day reshape history itself. His name was Shaka, and he would rise from rejection and humiliation to become one of the most feared and celebrated warrior kings the continent had ever known. Shaka's beginnings were far from glorious. Born the illegitimate son of Senzangakhona, chief of the Zulu, and Nandi, a woman from the Langeni clan, Shaka grew up in hardship. He knew what it meant to be ridiculed, to be cast aside, to live with the sting of shame. Yet within the young boy grew a determination forged by rejection. He refused to be broken. Instead, he embraced his pain, transforming it into strength, into vision, into destiny. As a youth, Shaka was sent into exile with his mother. There, among the Mthethwa people, his warrior spirit was discovered. He joined their military regiments and soon revealed a gift for battle. Unlike others, Shaka studied the art of war not merely as survival, but as science. Where others saw spears, he saw possibilities. Where others fought with chaos, he saw order. He created tactics that were new, ruthless, and devastatingly effective. Shaka revolutionized warfare. Gone were the long throwing spears of old. In their place, he introduced the short stabbing spear the Iklewa designed for brutal, close combat. He forced his warriors to abandon the comforts of sandals, making them march barefoot across scorching plains, hardening their feet until the earth itself could no longer slow them. He devised the legendary bullhorn formation, a strategy of encirclement that crushed enemies with precision and fury. His methods were merciless, but effective. Villages fell, chiefs trembled, and whispers of his brilliance spread far beyond the Zulu homelands. By the time Shaka seized power after the death of his father, he was no longer the mocked child of an outcast woman. He was a commander, a leader, a man with an empire in his vision. Under his reign, the Zulu kingdom expanded into a force unlike any before. Small, scattered clans were united under his rule. The land trembled as regiments of disciplined warriors, clad in cowhide shields, swept across the valleys and mountains, subduing those who dared resist. To his people, Shaka was both protector and punisher. He rewarded loyalty with favor, but betrayal or even the hint of it was met with swift, often brutal retribution. Yet with every conquest, with every victory, Shaka's ambition grew darker, sharper. He demanded absolute obedience. His warriors trained endlessly, sometimes to the point of death. His laws were harsh, his punishments feared. And still the Zulu nation flourished. Traders and travelers began to recognize the rising kingdom, a power none could ignore. But even the strongest kings carry within them the seeds of downfall. When Shaka's mother, Nandi, the woman who had once been his source of pride and pain, died, something in him shattered. Grief turned to madness. He ordered mourning rituals so extreme that they tested even his most loyal subjects. No crops were to be planted, no milk consumed, and countless lives were lost to appease his sorrow. What had once been a kingdom of loyalty and strength now trembled under the weight of despair. Allies turned uneasy. His people whispered in fear. Shaka, who had risen from nothing, who had united the Zulu into one of the greatest nations of Africa, now began to unravel. His brilliance, still undeniable, was overshadowed by cruelty, paranoia, and the haunting shadows of loss. And so betrayal came, not from his enemies beyond, but from within his own blood. His half-brothers, weary of his tyranny, conspired against him. On a day meant to be ordinary, blades were drawn, and the mighty king who had once been untouchable was struck down. Shaka Zulu, the man who had risen higher than anyone thought possible, fell by the hands of those closest to him. His death sent shockwaves through the land. Some mourned, Some rejoiced, and many feared what would come next. Yet the legacy of Shaka could not be buried with his body. His reforms, his strategies, his vision of unity had changed southern Africa forever. Tribes that had once been scattered now understood the strength of discipline, the power of unity, and the cost of ambition. To some, he was a tyrant, a man whose cruelty scarred generations. To others, he was a genius, a leader who gave his people identity and power. History does not offer simple judgments. It offers complexity, contradiction, and truth. And so the story of Shaka Zulu lives on. A tale of a boy who rose from rejection to build an empire, of a king whose brilliance shone as brightly as his cruelty, and of a fall as dramatic as his rise. The drums of history still echo his name, whispering across the plains of KwaZulu-Natal. Shaka, the warrior, the king, the legend. Every follow, every subscription, every little click of support helps this channel keep going. It tells me you're here, you're listening, and you want more. And trust me, there's so much more coming your way: stories, insights, and content that will keep you hooked and inspired. Thanks.